That's not what we started to teach, which was that every baby is, I don't know, let's not even put it on the birth certificate. That's what they wanted.
Were we teaching that?
Yes, we
When were we teaching that?
Teaching it. It was a law here in California. See,
To teach what?
Don't put on the birth certificate. We'll see.
It's much more startling than anyone anticipated that Bill Maher is explaining why he's finally parting with the left. He has been sparring with them for years, but nobody really thought he would get this far. He is now speaking the quiet bit aloud. The left has lost its sense of direction, and if it doesn't change its ways quickly, it's remaining. Influence may disappear permanently. This one hits hard, so get ready to
Admit this. This country is not as mature as it thinks it is. We elected Obama, and clearly the country freaked out. We're still living in that freak out. We are not as progressed and evolved and intelligent as we think we are because we keep freaking out about this stuff.
Well,
you know?
the left freak out too. The left freaked out about a lot of too.
What did they freak out about?
Gender, race, parenthood, schools, homelessness, crime, the border, education. Like we stopped being a scientific people.
Maher begins by outlining all the reasons he is splitting with the left. But he concludes with a remark that is more impactful than everything else. He believes that the left has lost faith in science. Whether you agree with him or not, he contends that it's hard to dismiss people who believe that biological realities may be ignored or that identity can be quickly altered by declaring so. He claims that it becomes challenging to act as though logic is still guiding the conversation. In the end, you have to refer to it as what he sees it as, a rejection of fundamental scientific ideas.
Like, it's not scientific.
But the left certainly stayed scientific.
No, they didn't.
Why not?
Because they think gender that they went way too far with. That's not scientific.
Here, Maher. It's quite evident that he thinks the left's obsession with gender identity had a significant role in their defeat in the election. According to him, they pushed the discussion so far beyond common sense that it wandered into areas that regular Americans never requested or endorsed, rather than concentrating on practical issues such as education, public safety, and the economy. The left devoted all of its attention to redefining biological concepts and demanding compliance. Maher contends that this overreach drove away large numbers of votes in addition to turning off moderates. He claims that the left successfully planned its own loss by transforming a marginal ideological conflict into a national necessity, and it was brutally clear from the election results.
That's not what we started to teach, which was that every baby is, I don't know, let's not even put it on the birth certificate. That's what they wanted.
Were we teaching that?
Yes, we
When were we teaching that?
Teaching it. It was a law here in California. See,
To teach what?
Don't put on the birth certificate. We'll see. Now we've passed that period. Now
I'm sorry, I don't remember that. I mean,
I know because it doesn't get in the blue sky bubble.
Wait a minute, I'm not just on blue sky.
I really think that's a lot of it. Is that some of this stuff doesn't get in to everybody's media.
The very ideologies that the left previously fervently espoused are now being abandoned. Suddenly, the same voices that defended these ideas as unquestionable facts are acting as though they never said anything. They casually forget those claims today, acting as though history and the internet don't exist. However, everybody who is paying attention is aware of the truth. A few years ago, they were fervently promoting discussions about gender identity and claiming that challenging any aspect of it made you an enemy. It was handled as if it were a moral campaign. They are now frantically trying to disassociate themselves from the very stances they formerly advocated. Due to shifting political tides and unavoidable criticism.
Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's socialism for the 21st century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century or any century, a mess.
Maher also claims that the left's recent obsession with socialism is another reason he is done with them. He contends that socialism is an impending political catastrophe rather than merely having theoretical flaws. According to him, adopting these concepts threatens the Democratic Party's remaining momentum by dragging it backward rather than energizing it. Most Americans are unwilling to risk their future on socialism because they have witnessed enough examples around the world to know how it typically ends, according to Maher. Americans don't trust the philosophy that the left is promoting, and instead of taking criticism to heart, they intensify that, in his opinion, is a surefire formula for political self-destruction.
Turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening.
Appears certain that it can revitalize socialism, refine it, correct its shortcomings, and somehow triumph. Where all previous attempts have failed, legislators behave as though they have found a more sophisticated and tidy version of the ideology that will not crumble under its own weight. Maher, though doesn't think so, he contends that New Abetios is headed into the same pitfall that many other countries have experienced throughout history. He claims that socialism always produces the same outcomes regardless of how it is presented: financial hardship, excessive government control, and a gradual loss of personal freedom. New York is repeating history rather than changing it. Additionally, the conclusion has been repeated numerous times.
For 66 years, Playboy magazine was also a fact of American life. Sears sold your father a mattress, and Playboy was what he hid under it. It was a surefire product. Pictures of and then 25 cartoons about Santa Claus. Plus real journalism. You could read an interview with Carter while enjoying photos of Bush. But then it started messing around with the formula. Like the Democratic Party, Playboy decided they didn't need straight men anymore.
Even here, Maher blames the Democratic Party directly for what he refers to as the woke virus. He believed that the party plunged blindly into ideological conflicts that the majority of Americans never requested, abandoning the practical concerns of its core constituents: jobs, safety, affordability, and stability. Democrats were fixated on gender identity arguments, seeing them as the focal point of contemporary politics rather than developing policies that may actually improve lives, according to Maher. This obsession permeated every aspect of American culture rather than just politics. Not even well-known companies were immune. He cites Playboy magazine, which was formerly a cultural institution but is now a platform that repeats the same awakened talking points that are prevalent on the left. For Maher, this cultural shift reveals how far the Democratic Party has wandered by favoring extreme ideological goals above daily concerns. Not only did they damage themselves politically, but they also changed institutions in ways that made the very people they purported to represent uncomfortable.
They put transgender women and gay men on the cover, and predictably sales, like their subscribers, collapsed. The staff began using terms like intersectionality, positivity, and privileging, and in response, Playboy readers used terms like no thanks, get the out of here, and bye-bye. At one point, Playboy, yes, Playboy, even dropped the which is like cigar aficionado announcing, we're getting rid of the cigars. It went from entertainment for men to re-education for nobody, and enlightened their way to unpopularity. Meanwhile, Kim Kardashian posed for another magazine and broke the internet with her
institutions that joined the woke bandwagon paid a heavy price. Much like the Democratic Party, according to Maher, several brands experienced financial ruin as a result of embracing these ideological movements. Businesses that had previously dominated their sectors abruptly alienated devoted clients, weakened their brand, and strayed from the principles that had made them prosperous. The repercussions were immediate: dropping stock prices, dwindling revenue, and departing clients. Playboy lost the audience that had supported them for decades after attempting a woke rebranding. Budweiser experienced one of the largest consumer backlashes in contemporary business history after embracing provocative themes. Even Sears, a once dominant retailer, moved away from the principles that sustained its business and toward cultural virtue signaling. Maher contends that these businesses misinterpreted their clients in addition to making mistakes in their calculations. They left behind those who kept them afloat in pursuit of ideological praise, and they were mercilessly punished by the market.
Sometimes you got to give the people what they want. But for some weird reason, it's apparently tempting for some people to not do that. Because even Cracker Barrel recently decided that they felt a little embarrassed that it was so popular with bumpkins who salivate at the sight of an old wagon wheel screwed to the wall. So they changed it to this, which got them no new customers while pissing off the old ones. It reminded me of when Chuck Schumer said in 2016 that for every blue-collar Democrat we lose in Western Pennsylvania, we're going to pick up 2 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philly, Ohio, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Yeah, how'd that work?
The left was pursuing a whole other agenda while Trump was out on the campaign trail winning over Americans with clear proposals on the economic, national security, and job development. They concentrated on educating the public about gender identity and discussions around trans women in sports rather than addressing actual concerns that impact regular voters. These issues were important to a specific group of people, but they had little effect on Americans who were concerned about their salaries, the state of the country, or the rise in crime. Maher emphasizes that the outcome of the election was significantly influenced by this disparity. The left gave Trump a clear edge by focusing on abstract cultural discussions while neglecting important issues. The outcome, the left was stunned by the overwhelming loss and questioned why their progressive message, which they felt was ethically crucial, did not resonate with regular Americans. For Maher, it serves as a sobering reminder of the perils of becoming detached from reality.
At least Cracker Barrel had the sense to immediately say, "Oh, sorry," and put the sling blades back on the wall. Democrats don't seem to be doing that. They still seem to want to be that upscale store that impresses celebrities. Anybody remember Barney's? It was this store in New York that started in the 1920s, as a discount clothing joint on unfashionable, grimy 7th Avenue, a place where their customers, the working man, could get a decent suit at a very reasonable price. I remember going there in 1993 to get my wardrobe for a new show Comedy Central was launching called Politically Incorrect.
Maher contends that the Democratic National Committee ought to have confronted its shortcomings head-on and learnt from the errors that cost them important elections, rather than changing direction. The party intensified the tactics that alienated voters. Maher finds this puzzling. How can a political party that was rejected for promoting awakened ideology react by adopting a socialist program that is even more divisive? It defies fundamental political logic, in his opinion. The party is determined to further alienate people rather than win back their trust, according to Maher. This is more than simply political obstinacy. It reveals a more profound detachment from the reality that ordinary Americans care about. The DNC is engrossed in ideological experiments with minimal popular backing. While voters are concerned about employment, inflation, and security, this, in Maher's opinion, points to a concerning trend. Rather than taking lessons from failure, the left continues to push policies that make the same mistakes, undermining credibility and future prospects of success. Ultimately, Maher presents a clear picture of the left's fixation on socialism, gender issues, and woke culture has alienated voters and undermined the party and important institutions, while the left pursued ideological conflicts that few people supported, costing them credibility in elections. Trump concentrated on concrete concerns that affected common Americans. Maher cautions that the party runs the risk of making the same expensive mistakes again, leaving its future uncertain unless it shifts toward sensible policies and reestablishes a connection with its supporters. That concludes the video for today. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe buttons for more similar stuff. I appreciate you viewing, and I hope to see you again soon.